Gränsfors Bruks, made in Sweden. This is the pinnacle of forest axery. And you got a nice wooden handle, a nice decently light head. This is the perfect axe to be able to carry on your side. But this thing in the hand is like all over the place, man. Jesus.
I don't know, man. Pittsburgh. Fiberglass handle, 1 1/4 pound head, made in India. Textured grip. I think that may dethrone it for $6.99.
Let's see.
Let's put them head to head and see what it does. Damn, that thing's sharp.
First challenge, limbing.
Limbing. I think you might have an advantage on this based on an 18-inch handle.
Yep.
Where I have a 14-inch handle.
There may have been a miscommunication. I was expecting him to get the 20-inch handle from Harbour Freight, but that was not the cheapest axe.
I want to see apples to apples with the cheapest thing I could find.
Just something that's a little bit more, you know, I'm not going to say better, but better.
But do you need an 18-inch handle in order to do good delimbing? Or will this little Pittsburgh do the trick?
So for the limbing challenge, we're going to do it with small limbs, medium-sized limbs, and bigger limbs. So we got 2 bigger limbs right here. So let's see how it works. So let me talk a little bit about my experience with the Force Bruks. So this hatchet has actually been on my hip for a number of years now. One of the big differences you notice with this is the fact that it's a wooden handle, and that actually matters quite a bit.
19 seconds!
Now, I know what you might be thinking, that a wooden handle and a fiberglass handle probably don't have that big of a difference. But something that you can't really see, that you can really feel when you're swinging these, is that the fiberglass handle has a lot of rebound. So it actually moves back in your hand, and you can't chop for the same amount of time as you would want to chop otherwise. There's something just better, in my opinion, about having a wood handle over having a fiberglass handle. It's also important to note that we sharpened this hatchet before we did any of these things. So this hatchet is freshly sharp, and you can see that it's just not getting the job done. Whereas mine hasn't been sharpened in probably about a year, and it's just chopping through it. The clock. One of the other things to note is that a hatchet is a different tool for a different job. Now, we talked a little bit about blade profile on this thing, and it really does go to show you that there is a difference in a hatchet and
Look at that, I got it!
An axe. 1 minute and 8 seconds. Now, we can't fault the hatchet too much for this, because technically, camp hatchets have a different head shape than a forestry axe. See how mine is skinnier, much further up the break right here? So that's what allows an axe to actually be able to cut through vertically through the grain. With that being said, that was depressing. Did that even cut where you hit it?
No, just broke it off. Before we get started, I wanted to point out that this warning symbol came on my axe, which states that we should always be wearing our approved safety goggles, which we are, and we need to inspect before every use in case my Pittsburgh falls apart.
Does it say anything about gloves?
Sure. No. Well, it says to keep away from bystanders.
That would have kept blood from hitting my axe. So.
Yeah, they have a very bloody axe.
Yeah. I think it's only fair, really, to at least take a couple swings with the other axe. Let's try it.
All right.
Your head's heavier than mine.
More brains in there, I guess.
Don't you think? That's interesting. Mine has a lighter
yours
head.
does feel lighter, yeah.
Huh, okay.
Doesn't really say what weight it is.
Oh. Holy cow, this thing is wild. This thing in the hand is like all over the place, man. Jesus.
Oh. Your axe is a lot sharper. Much deeper cuts.
Yeah.
My handle's already marred up.
The thing is wild. There's something to be said about the controllability about this And on top of that, the fact is my axe head is actually lighter than yours.
It is, and much deeper cuts by the angle of the blade. Actually took me by surprise on that one chop. Oh, I didn't expect to sink in the wood near that far.
Sure.
And of course, it's interesting to note that these are down to like really hard trees.
Yeah, super dry.
Yeah.
I mean, the fire went through here years and years ago, so I think limbing certainly goes to mine.
Yeah, and I would think chopping certainly goes to yours. Now, for the price difference though, $7 versus maybe a couple $100 on a really good woodsman's axe.
Sure.
This is not gonna last your whole lifetime.
Nope. That'll last maybe 2 or 3 seasons.
Maybe, but 2 or 3 seasons that you can repeat, 20 times with brand new axes. Blade already kind of starting to dull up a little bit right after I sharpened it. We've only cut a couple branches.
Yeah, and I don't remember the last time I sharpened mine.
Do we even need to do the chopping? Like the log splitting?
We need to do the splitting.
Let's do it.
We got to do the splitting because that's what hatchets are designed for. They're designed for in-camp splitting.
I still think your axe is going to kick mine's ass at splitting, but let's give it a whirl.
Probably.
If I can hit the log with the wild disbalance.
With the swing!
Woo!
Now we're off for splitting. And as
That's
you
what
notice,
should
we're
do.
going to be splitting the exact same log. So this is just me trying to get through
Look
it.
at that precision. You know I'm going to be all over that log with every hit. I'll probably miss it, take a toe. How you're splitting? Oh, I am so impressed.
So I do want to point out, I took off a very small portion. It's because splitting a whole one of these with a small axe, we're not going to try. So Nathan also isn't going to split the whole thing right up the middle because we don't have them all. Use the right tool for the right job. However, with that being said, with something like this, in theory, you should be able to go into the woods and split your wood.
Almost, there it is.
All right, that was 2. I'm breathing, I don't know, mildly hard.
Now I have to admit that I have always had a crappy hatchet.
Oh yeah.
So every time I've ever gone up camping and so forth, I had a crappy hatchet. I've never been able to split wood with it. So I've had a couple different techniques to actually split a log with a hatchet because it's almost impossible to like whip through a nice, big, thick, hard log like this with a hatchet.
Sure. Albeit a hatchet is designed to split wood in a campsite, not necessarily big logs like this. So we're just gonna cut real quick
See if we can hit myself in the
to
face with it.
a log that's a little bit more hatchet-esque to be split, which is this one. And this hatchet is much closer to the type of stuff that you'd be splitting, very straight grain, and just overall a much easier piece of wood to split.
Very hard to get any, like...
I think mine wins at this one, not necessarily because of the shape of the head, but because of the leverage I can generate with the longer handle.
I agree, and your precision. So because when you're trying to come down with a very top-heavy hatchet, you're all over the board. So trying to line up your cuts, very difficult to do.
Yep. And
It's falling apart.
Guess we didn't need that.
It was an optional piece. Decorative only.
All right, let's see if I can get through this. I'll just shave off this piece. Yeah, this is nothing but the arm strength that you can generate.
Yep.
There is no momentum in this.
Yeah, totally what I felt on that one. Oh yeah. I'm going right down the middle here, but missed. Yeah, I changed my line on purpose.
Oh, you're damn near there. If we were cutting on the proper height of a cutting block, it would be better.
Yeah. Don't hit your handle.
Here's my consensus. Going cheap for an axe, perfectly acceptable. Watch our other video, it's gonna be linked. The Harbour Freight hatchet to the Harbour Freight fireman's axe. Now, we're missing a spike here, and we'll talk about that. Now, if I were to talk about the looks, I like this one better. It looks cooler than this one. But I do like this one. I do like it a lot. It's so cool. All right, in that, I didn't pick the cheapest fiberglass hatchet. I actually went for the wood one, and then for the $20 fireman's axe, my recommendation personally is get something much closer to this in style and length, and that's that fireman's axe. Get that fireman's axe, don't even dick with this.
And my suggestion is just find one of these in the woods. Oh, there's one, and just steal it.
I actually did leave that on the ground one time, and we literally drove all the way back up in the mountains to come find it buried in snow. What's funny is multiple people had driven past it, and I was very, very glad because I love that thing. All right, Survivor idiots, next time, screw that thing.